this open line. Real card holder data is normally forbidden to use in development systems. So you have official test data to do some tests and quality assurance, because of course you must test and make some QA when you release a new version of your software which is processing the data. But we found out that a lot of people are doing a database dump and implement it on the development system to do a final check with the real data, and the development system is not patched since, I don't know, the last decade. And but the productive system is like Fort Knox, so they should maybe also implement that on the second system or not use the real data. Sometimes they don't understand that correct. Also, the testing of new patches happens sometimes with real cardholder data from an employee. So when I interviewed the administrator and said, okay, how about the testing, how do you process that? He said, yes, when we have a new release, we put that on one machine, and one of our employees is doing a transaction with his card, and we see it's working, and we've bought some minor things, and we put this machine then online. Of course, this is not really allowed, and I guess not every employee is really happy with this situation, but they're using it that way, and of course it's not a good way. The thing with which I had really, personally, really problems, because I didn't ever believe that such things would happen, was when we were talking to prepare an audit at a big company. We went to this requirement 9, physical security, and they said, yes, we can make a check on the complete requirement. We have a very high security data center. It has every single feature with every single, I don't know who. They had biometrics, they had tokens, they had I don't know, a lot of equipment, and we found out, okay, this would be really no challenge for the requirement 9, and we can check that and switch to the next maybe problems on the next requirements. And when we went to the chargeback processing, chargeback is when you give a transaction back, they said, yes, if we have a problem with a merchant who has chargebacks, we put this chargeback, we do some research on this chargeback at a system with Microsoft Access. And I was wondering, like a high secure data center and a system with Microsoft Access where they do chargeback handling, more details please. And they said, yes, you know, one of the employees' workstation has Microsoft Access. He puts the data from the last year in, because chargeback could be in the last 180 days, and it will be announced latest 180 days later. So we have 1 year of history in this Access database, and he is doing some investigation to find out if it's okay or not. And as it was a really big company, they have many million transactions a year. And an employee's workstation with Microsoft Access, no encryption, no whatever protection on the data, but a high secure data center for many million euros. I mean, it's a little bit not balanced. So I said, why did you spend all that money into the high secure data center? I mean, if I would be the attacker, I would only take this workstation or even only the hard disk and go out, and you made my day. But I guess they didn't really understand the problem and the situation here, because they said, oh, really, no, normally we protect the data in the data center and there no one could access it, and then it's secure. So that was a really interesting situation, because I really didn't understand what they wanted to do with this access. I mean, it's not even a database, it's something from Microsoft. Also interesting is many companies have no cross-cut shredders. They have maybe a shredder for 20 euros somewhere, which makes some big stripes, so you can easily reconstruct what was striped. A crosscut shredder, which has small pieces which pop out, is a must-have, and a lot of don't have it. So this is a good potential attack or a good potential problem to attack them with a dumpster diving. So attackers can easily figure out what was the data which was shredded and reconstruct it. And if it's one of the lists of the credit cards, you have a problem with that. So that's the reason if you check out, you get a receipt for every transaction you do at a point of sale. Some of them are already masked with only the last 4 numbers or 6 numbers and some X's and the last 4 numbers, or with stars. This is changed because a lot of people buy something, take this receipt and throw it into the trash. And a lot of people found out that it is very efficient to clean this trash before the cleaning guys arrive. And that's the reason why this is currently changed. A lot of companies have already this masked receipts for the customer, but some even today use the full number, so don't throw it away, cross-cut it yourself. If they don't do the security for you, you must do it for yourself. Yeah, the racks. The racks are sometimes also very interesting. If you check the data centers, you see a lot of interesting implementations. This was a situation, the sidewalls of the rack, the rack itself and the data center, everything was secure. And I said, okay, can I check it? Front door was locked, back side was locked, and I saw at the sidewall were some plastic levers, you can put them down. And I said, can I try to? And they said, yes, of course. And the complete sidewall was in my hand, and I had full access to all servers and patch panels. I said, for what are you locking the doors if the side is open? You have 2 sides, so you have the front and back secure, but both sides are open. That was an interesting exploit to physically access the servers, because they never expected someone to open the rack from the side, because it has 2 doors. Another one had 2 different models of racks, and one was higher than the other. So one was like until here, and one was like here, and here is one side which is not protected. So you have to put a sidewall on it to protect the access to the systems. But it was open, so I could get into it, and in this difference there was a patch panel. So I said, what about here? I mean, everything is locked, everything is secure, but I can access a complete patch panel without doing some really stressy lock opening. So they didn't remember or check if you have differences in the high of the rack, that you can, of course, access it that way. At another data center, everything was fine. We went into the room where the racks are stored, and we saw everything was clean, correct, only one table, and to sit there, everything locked. So I went there to check if it's really locked. The side walls were closed, and when I turned around, the backside was open and all the servers popped out. And I said, what about this backside situation here? And they said, yes, you know, we bought the racks before and the servers later, and the servers are longer than the rack, so we can't close it. So from the front side, everything was okay, but when you go around, everything is open and you can access the full systems, and I mean, that was not that good. Finally, because our time is running out, I want to present you some statements which we heard when we interviewed them or tried to explain them their serious problems. One guy said, we need no policies or procedures, everything is inside my head. That's an interesting implementation of living process of security. But of course you need policies and procedures because security is a living process. You have to put some policies, procedures, organizational and technical measures to address the risk, but that was a statement from a CEO. The next one is a generic one. They say, we never faced an incident since I don't know how many years, and we are secure, so we don't have a problem with the risk. And that is exactly what this Captain Smith said. You have no clue if the last 20 years nothing happened, that in the next 5 minutes something would happen. But this is a generic answer you receive many times from administrators, developers, CEOs, whatever. The next one is an interesting one. We don't deal with shoes, of course we are secure. Every time I remember that one, I realize or think about Al Bundy. Don't deal with shoes. But you have seen sometimes it's really so poor that it could be addressed to Al Bundy. A statement is also, the system is running for more than I don't know how many years, we can touch this running system. The record of this was a system, it was a host system which is running currently for 23 years. It's amazing, but they can't turn it off, it's processing 24/7. They have very few special maintenance modes, and they tried to change the system to a new version or type of infrastructure 3 times and didn't make it. So they said finally, it's too hard, we just let it go. Okay, when all COBOL programmers died, I don't know what they will do, but let's see. An interesting statement, if you come to the business need to know to access full card numbers, is when you check the account of a CEO, you see that he has full access to full card numbers. And if you ask for the business purpose, the statement is, I'm the CEO and of course I need full access to cardholder data. It's mine. Of course it's not him, it's the cardholder data from the cardholder scheme, and of course it's our data because our name, for example, is on that card. But CEOs think that everything is there, so of course they need the full number, even if they don't need it for their business. And the last statement is, we are secure. This is very generic. Everyone says that they are secure, but when you conduct the audit and show them their gaps, they find out that they are maybe not. So that was my lecture. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you have questions. If you have questions, ask now. My voice is going.
I have a question actually. Like a few years ago, like we discovered that one of the companies who are processing this credit card data was using GET requests. So, and they had a WebTrans live server where whole enterprise could access, where you just click and like see in the Apache weblogs all the cardholders' data.
Yes.
I know that the company never talked to Visa or MasterCard and like reported it as an incident. So my point is, what happens when the company don't choose to report an incident, not to pay these like fees, some million euros, whatever?
This is an incident in the company which is storing, processing, transacting cardholder data. It's not an incident because this data was not fraudulent used. If it's fraudulent used, or if you have a clue that it was stolen or compromised, then you have to report it. There's no hiding of this information possible because you must report this. but this is what we find out at